voice clearly through the static of those years. I'm unlearning every lesson that was taught to keep me small. That's where I learned to lie and where I learned to fall. I carried it to friendships who said yes when I meant no. Carried it to lovers, performed instead of showed. I could mirror any person, become whatever fit the scene. A chameleon so perfect I forgot what I could mean. The line wasn't malice, it was just the only tool a child could find to navigate a house of fragile walls. The lies we learn in childhood are the hardest ones to break, because they sound like love and feel like keeping safe. That's where I learned to lie, at a table set for silence, where the truth was too expensive and the peace was always violence. That's where I learned to lie, and it took me 30 years to hear my own voice clearly through the static of those years. I'm unlearning every lesson that was taught to keep me small. That's where I learned to lie and where I learned to fall. I'm not angry at the table or the people sitting there. They were lying too with their own inherited despair. But the cycle stops with me and my willingness to speak. The truth is clumsy, but it's mine to keep. That's where I learned to lie, at a table set for silence, where the truth was too expensive and the peace was always violence. That's where I learned to lie, and it took me 30 years to hear my own voice clearly through the static of those years. I'm unlearning every lesson that was taught to keep me small. That's where I learned to lie and where I chose to stand tall. I'm unlearning now, one truth at a time. The girl at that table, she's finally I held your name inside my mouth for longer than I should. Tasted every syllable, letting go never could. We said our last word standing in a parking lot at night. You took the left, I took the right, and we dissolved the line. It wasn't war, just the quiet kind of end, where two people stop belonging to what they can't defend. And now I'm left here wondering about the strangest thing. Now I ended, but where the feeling goes from me, where does it go when we let it go? The love that lived between the ordinary days, does it hover in the rooms we used to fill with laughter, or does it fade like music at the end of every phrase? Where does it go when we let it go? I hope it finds a place that's gentler than goodbye. The toothbrush disappeared last Thursday, and the hook looks bare and strange, like a sentence missing punctuation at the bottom of a page. I still reach for 2 cups before my hands remember one, and the silence in the kitchen sounds like something coming undone. But I don't regret the love Yesterday's like armor on my shoulders. Every scar a decoration that I polished every night. But the thing about the past is that it only weighs you down when you carry it like currency instead of letting go of it. I met a version of myself at 23 who needed saving. She was brilliant but exhausted from performing for the room. And I told her, you don't know the world, a single explanation. You are worthy of the softness that you give to everyone too soon. There's a tenderness in choosing to move on, not forgetting but releasing what's been gone too long. Like velvet in the rain, I'm softer than before. Every drop a tiny lesson landing gently at my core. I'm not hiding from the weather, I'm embracing what it brings. Like velvet in the rain, I'm learning beautiful new things. The heavier it falls, the deeper something in me sings. I was always strong enough, but now I'm soft enough to feel. I took the photographs of people who no longer fit my story, and I thank them for the chapters that they helped me write along. Not with bitterness or anger, just with gratitude and distance. Sometimes love is knowing when the melody has changed your song. Planted all the gardens that I withered from neglecting. Gave myself permission to be messy and imperfect and alive. And the flowers that came up were wild and crooked and surprising. And they taught me that the prettiest things really go in lines. There's a tenderness in choosing to move on, not forgetting but releasing what's been gone too long. Like velvet in the rain, I'm softer than before. Every drop a tiny lesson landing gently at my core. I'm not hiding from the weather, I'm embracing what it brings. Like velvet in the rain, I'm learning beautiful new things. The heavier it falls, the deeper something in me sinks. I was always strong enough, but now I'm soft enough to feel. I'm peeling off the layers of the person I performed, the one who smiled on cue and kept her feelings neat and strong. Underneath it all is someone tender, raw and true. And she's not afraid of weather anymore, she dances through. Every old goodbye became a doorway I walked through. Every wound I thought would end me gave me room to start brand new. I'm collecting all the grace that I forgot to give myself, and spreading it like honey over everything I felt. Like velvet in the rain, I'm softer than before. Every drop a tiny lesson landing gently at my core. I'm not hiding from the weather, I'm embracing what it brings. Like velvet in the rain, I'm learning beautiful new things. Heavier it falls, the deeper something in me sinks. I was always strong enough, but now I'm soft enough to feel. Velvet in the rain, I'm softer and I'm stronger all the same. Every drop that falls reminds me that I'm alive, and that's the sweetest thing. Like velvet in the rain. Like velvet in the rain. Found a page I used to keep, folded thin and tucked in deep between the lines of other days that pulled my focus different ways. The ink was faint but still intact, a quiet list of things I lacked, or thought I did, or wished I did, before the world trusted me. There was a sketch of distant plans drawn in unsteady younger hands, places I would go someday, words I swore I'd learn to say. I almost smiled and put it back, like something off the present track, a relic of a smaller view that didn't know what life could do. But something in me just held still, a subtle steady kind of will, not loud, not wild, not hard to hide, just firm and warm and deep inside. And I felt it rise again, not as it was back then, but clearer now than when it first began. I used to think that time decides which doors are closed, which dreams subside, that growing up means letting go of fragile things we used to know. But maybe growing really means revisiting unfinished scenes with wiser hands and slower pace and more compassion for the chase. The dream I had was not naive, it simply didn't yet receive the patience that it needed most to stand beyond its early ghost. I thought ambition had to shout to prove what it was all about, but maybe it can speak in tone that's calm and confident alone. And I felt it rise again, not desperate to win, but steady from within, ready now to begin. I don't need all the world to see or validate this part of me. This isn't built on loud acclaim or chasing some imagined fame. It's built on something quiet, true, a thread that always pulled me through. Even when I set it down and let distraction wear the crown, I've learned enough to know the cost of moving fast and feeling lost, of racing just to prove I can without a grounded chosen plan. This time I'm open sight, not forcing steps, not gripping tight, but giving room to grow without demanding instant glow. There's beauty in a second start, and knowing every altered part still carries echoes of the first, but steadier and less dispersed. And I feel it in my hands, the shape of older plans, now shifting where it stands into something I understand. I won't compare to who I was, or measure growth by old applause. The version of me standing here is fuller, narrow, and more sincere. The page I found is not a rule, it's not a test or a rigid tool, it's simply proof I once believed in something strong I had conceived, and that belief is still alive. It didn't vanish or deprive, it waited quietly in place until I could return with grace. So we'll try without the weight of proving something small or great. I'll move because it feels aligned with who I am inside my mind. No rush to label what it means, no fear of in-between scenes, just steady steps and open view towards something once I almost knew. And I felt it rise again, not as it was back then, but clearer now than then. It first began within. I found a page I used to keep, folded thin and something deep. Now it rests beside my day, no longer hidden away.
I wake before the kettle sings, the room is calm and thin, a silver line along the floor, it's early daylight in. There was a time I feared the dawn, it felt like like something due. A list of things unfinished, a version I outgrew. Now the air is different, it doesn't press or pull. It rests against my shoulders, quiet and steady, full. We're moving through the kitchen in softened cotton gray, humming something half remembered from another day. The piano finds a tender chord, not urgent, not severe. Brush drums drift like passing thoughts that never interfere. I used to chase a louder life to prove that I'd grown, running toward imagined peaks I thought I'd call my own. But somewhere in the striving, I misplaced my sense of pace, confusing speed with meaning, emotion with my place. You never tried to slow me down or question what I chased. You only asked me sometimes if I felt displaced. You said maybe you don't need to run, maybe you can stand and see how far you've come. The line stayed longer than I thought. It followed me for days, through traffic lights and crowded streets, through self-invented haze. The bass beneath the melody feels steady, round and low, like something under everything I've only just begun to know. I'm not who I imagined, the 21 and loud, but I am someone quieter and somehow more alive. Allowed to take a slower breath, allowed to change direction, allowed to leave behind the need for constant self-correction. The morning doesn't judge me, it doesn't ask for more, it simply keeps unfolding like light across the floor. You set a cup beside my hand without a spoken cue, and in that gentle offering there's something deeply true. I thought becoming had to look impressive, like a visible transformation, but maybe it's mostly internal. The acoustic strings are patient, they don't insist on speed. They curve around the silence and give the space I need. I feel the tension loosening in places I once held. No spotlight, no applause, just a steady inner swell. Still becoming something, not finished, not defined, but less afraid of corners I haven't yet aligned. You glance at me and ask me what's running through my head. I say nothing urgent, and that is what I meant. Because for once the present is not a stepping stone, it's not a bridge to later, it's somewhere I've grown. The city starts its low hum, engines far below, but inside this small apartment there's nowhere I must go. The chords lean into morning with jazzy softness there, not dramatic, not restrained, just open to the air. I don't need to be completed, I don't need to arrive. I can stay inside this moment and still feel fully alive. I used to measure progress by a distance from my start. Now I measure by the calm returning to my heart. Still becoming, still unfolding, still learning how to be. Less a project to improve, more a person simply free. The kettle finally whispers, steam rising out of sight, and I stand a little steadier in this forgiving light.
The pavement carries a quiet rhythm underneath my measured stride. Buildings stretching into distance, but nothing I need to outrun. Traffic hums in gentle layers, conversations blur and fade. I'm not searching for a destination, I'm just walking unafraid. There's a looseness in my shoulders, a softness in my breath. No one waiting at the corner, no unfinished words left unsaid. Stay right here, let the street unfold before me. Let each crossing light turn slow. I'm not racing toward tomorrow, I'm letting this moment flow. It feels different now to move without proving, to exist without performing, to let my steps belong to me. Soft piano traces steady chords, brushes whisper underfoot. Bass moves like distant engines, warm and understood. I pass a window full of reflections, catch my face in passing glass. Not evaluating what I see, just noticing as I pass. There were days I walked like armor, sharp turns, restless pace. Every stride a quiet argument, every corner a test of place. But something shifted quietly, not dramatic, not announced, just a decision to soften, to let the noise bounce. Stay right here, let the skyline breathe around me, let the air rest on my skin. I don't need to conquer anything to feel where I've been. I am allowed to move gently, allowed to take up space, allowed to wander without chasing a trace of who I thought I had to be. A bus sighs at the curb, doors folding in and out. Someone laughs 2 blocks away, a melody without a shout. Acoustic strings brush lightly against the pulse of town. The chords lean warm and open, never dragging down. I stop beside a small cafe, not to meet someone inside, just to stand and watch the steam drip softly to the side. There's comfort in anonymity, in being one among many. No spotlight on my footsteps, no need to be uncanny. Stay right here, let the world spin at its tempo, let my pace remain my own. I don't need a headline to justify this tone. These streets don't own me, they hold me, they carry, but they don't define. The melody lifts slightly higher, then settles back again, like footsteps finding balance on familiar pavement. I turn down a quieter road, where trees lean over stone, and in the middle of the city I feel entirely alone. Not lonely, not removed, just centered. Every step lands evenly, not heavy, not delayed, just grounded in my present in the choices that I've made. Stay right here until the light begins to fade, until the sky shifts shade. I will keep walking, not to escape but to arrive inside myself. For a reason to believe again. Had my walls built high enough to keep the whole world out. Then you walked in like a conversation I didn't expect, and suddenly my careful silence turned itself around. You didn't try to fix me or to fill the empty spaces. You just sat beside me like you knew the view was fine. And somewhere in between the laughter and the ordinary, I realized I've been waiting for exactly your desire. Funny how the things we need the most show up when we're done pretending we don't. You were closer than I think I am, like a favorite song to play before I found the tune. Every conversation landed somewhere warm and true. You were closer than I think I ever knew. And now I'm standing in the middle of a feeling I can't lose. Everything makes sense when I'm next to you. We don't need the big romantic gestures or the fireworks. Just your voice across the table is enough to make me stay. You remember little details that I barely even mention, and you hold them like they matter in the sweetest kind of way. There's a rhythm to the way we move around each other, like a dance we never practiced, but we somehow always land. And I don't know what I did to deserve this kind of comfort, but I'm grateful for the way you always seem to understand. Funny how the things we need the most show up when we're done pretending we don't. You were closer than I think I ever knew, like a favorite song you played before I found the tune. Every conversation landed somewhere warm and true. You were closer than I think I ever knew. And now I'm standing in the middle of a feeling I can't lose. Everything makes sense when I'm next to you. Used to think that love was something loud and overwhelming, something you had to chase until you couldn't breathe. But here we are in all this gentle understanding, and it's more than I imagined it could be. You're the calm inside the chaos and the laughter of the silence. You're the hand I reach for when the evening settles in. I never thought that easy could feel so full of meaning, but with you I keep discovering it again and again. You were closer than I think I ever knew, like a favorite song to play before I found the tune. Every conversation landed somewhere warm and true. You were closer than I think I ever knew. And now I'm standing
back to back with nothing much inside. Just a couple records and my restless pride. Caught a train I hadn't planned to take. Left behind the noise from my side. Every town I pass becomes a scene, painted in a color I've never seen. Strangers wave like they already know. Something in my heart I'm scared to show. And maybe I've been holding on too tight to a version of myself that doesn't fit. Maybe all I needed was tonight to finally let go of all of it. Wherever this road goes, I'm following a feeling in my bones. No map, no destination set in stone, just the wind and the unknown. Wherever this road goes, I'll find a place where I can breathe alone, a little corner of the world to call my own. Wherever this road goes. Stop beside a river running wide. Watch the water carry someone else's tide. Wrote your name in letters on the sand, knowing that the waves won't understand. Found a diner tucked behind the trees. I wanted something warm and let my shoulders ease. Lady at the counter poured me twice. Said you look like you could use something nice. And maybe there's no ending to this line. Maybe every crossroad leads somewhere. Maybe I've been searching all this time for a version of the world that doesn't care. Wherever this road goes, I'm following the feeling in my bones. No map, no destination set in stone, just the wind and the unknown. Wherever this road goes, I'll find a place where I can breathe alone, a little corner of the world to call my own. Wherever this road goes. I used to think that freedom meant escaping, running from the places that reminded me of who I was. But somewhere between the third city and the fourth goodbye, I realized freedom isn't running from anything. It's learning how to stay open, even when you don't know what's coming next. And that's the most peaceful thing I've ever felt. Now the evening settles soft and low, and I'm sitting where the quiet rivers flow. Got no phone, no schedules, just the feeling of the earth beneath my hands. There's a kind of rhythm in this place, something you can't find in any other place. Every step I'm getting closer to, not a place, but something honest, something true. Wherever this road goes, I'm following the feeling in my bones. No map, no destination set in stone, just the wind and the unknown. Wherever this road goes, I'll find a place where I can breathe alone, a little corner of the world to call my own. Wherever this road goes, wherever it goes, wherever it leads me, I'll be alright, I'll be just fine. Wherever this road goes, I'm already home. I'm already home.
I rehearsed 100 versions of the things I say, edited every feeling till it fit inside a frame. But truth has rough edges, it doesn't come in order. I'm tired of arranging it to sound like someone tame. You deserve the unrevised, the version with no filter. I'm giving you the highlights when the full film is much deeper. It's not the same that scares me, it's the staying after. When you sing the whole of someone still standing there. The weight of being honest with you lives inside my chest, heavier than hiding, but it puts me more at rest. I'm handing you the pieces I've never shown to anyone. The weight of being honest with you might just set me free. If you can hold this version, then you're really holding me. I've loved before in costumes, in the safety of performance. Play the easy woman who would never ask for more. But you sit across the table like you're waiting for the real thing. And I realize I've been standing at the edge of my own door. What happens if I tell you that I'm terrified of needing? That the closer someone gets, the more I calculate the loss. It's not the saying that scares me, it's the staying after. When you've seen the whole of someone and you're still standing there. The weight of being honest with you lives inside my chest, heavier than hiding, but it puts me more at rest. I'm handing you the pieces I've never shown to anyone. The weight of being honest with you might just set me free. If you can hold this version, then you're really holding me. So here it is, the woman underneath the composure, the one who cries in parking lots and overthinks her worth, who keeps a distance not because she doesn't love you, but because she loves you more than anything she's felt on earth. And that's what terrifies me more than any silence. The weight of being honest with you lives inside my chest, heavier than hiding, but it puts me more at rest. I'm handing you the pieces I've never shown to anyone. The weight of being honest with you might just set me free. If you can hold this version, then you're really holding me. If you can hold this version, then you're really holding me. That's all I ever wanted, to be held honestly. I folded up my worries into tiny little paper bags, set them on the water, watched them float away from me. All those heavy questions that I carry like a second skin, dissolving in my current, heading somewhere I can't see. I made myself a promise on a Tuesday afternoon that I would stop apologizing just for being who I am. There's a version of myself that I've been keeping in the margins, and it's time I let her breathe and let her take me by the hand. I've been holding back for so long now, but the only weight I feel is letting go. I'm unfolding every part of me I tucked away, every color, every edge I was afraid to show, laying out pieces like a map without directions, finding that the journey is the only thing I know. I'm unfolding and it feels like the beginning of a story where the ending doesn't matter, 'cause the living is the gold. I talk to my reflection that made me real. There's a beauty in the awkward and a power in the fragile. And I'm learning that my flaws are just a different way to heal. Wrote a letter to the girl who thought she wasn't quite enough. Told her every stumble was a stepping stone in bloom. Told her all the pieces that she thought were somehow broken were the very things that built this beautiful and honest room. I've been holding back for so long now, but the only weight I feel is letting go. I'm unfolding every part of me I tucked away. Every color, every edge I was afraid to show. Laying out the pieces like a map without directions. Finding that the journey is the only thing I know. I'm unfolding and it feels like the beginning of a story where the ending doesn't matter, 'cause the living is the goal. Paper boats and promises, they carry what I've left behind. Every fold of memory I'm choosing not to keep. Not because they didn't matter, not because they weren't mine, but because my hands are open now and I'm ready to receive. The wind is on my shoulders and the path is getting wider. And the girl who used to whisper now has something real to say. She's standing tall and smiling with her whole heart on the table. And she's beautiful because she chose to stay. I'm unfolding every part of me I touched. Every color, every edge I was afraid to show. Laying out the pieces like a map without directions. Finding that the journey is the only thing I know. I'm unfolding and it feels like the beginning of a story where the ending doesn't matter, 'cause the living is the goal. Paper boats and promises, I'm letting go. Yeah, I'm unfolding. Yeah, I'm unfolding, and it's beautiful to find love. I never noticed how you pause right before you start to speak, like you're arranging something small. Nothing fragile sounds too weak. I've heard your stories all before, about the city and the rain, about the songs you used to play inside your barely tuned guitar strings. But something in the way you smiled felt different than it used to feel. Not loud and more bright or wild, just suddenly intensely real. I've known your hands for years by now, the shape, the motion, how they move. But when they brushed against my sleeve, my steady thoughts began to groove. It wasn't thunder, wasn't flame, no steady rush, no reckless start, just quiet heat beneath my name. A soft shift inside my heart, and I didn't see it coming through the space I thought I always knew. But now the air's bending new whenever I am close to you. We're not strangers in the night, we're not chasing borrowed light. We're just standing where we've been with something deeper settling in. The way you lean across the table, listening like I'm something rare, makes every ordinary word feel carefully and fully there. We used to talk for hours straight about the future, work and plans, but now there's something that neither of us understands. There's rhythm in our steady tone, a subtle swing we've never shown, like chords we played in simpler keys, now turning into harmonies. And I didn't plan to feel this way. It's a perfectly normal day, but something quite chose to stay, and I don't want it to decay. This isn't reckless, isn't fast. It's not a break from what is past. It's what was always underneath, finally stepping past my teeth. I don't need sparks across the sky or fireworks to justify what's building slow inside this room in gentle, open, certain bloom. You laugh until your head aside and something settles in my stride, like every step I take is sure of what it's quietly reaching for. There's no performance, no disguise, no sudden shift behind our eyes, just deeper layers coming through and things we've always used to do. And I didn't see it coming through the space I thought I always knew, but now the air's bending new whenever I am close to you. If this becomes what I suspect, it won't erase what we protect. It won't rewrite the years we've known. It only adds a warmer tone. We won't collapse into surprise or dramatize what gently rises. We'll let it breathe, we'll let it grow at its own calm and steady flow. I like that nothing feels extreme, no dizzy edge, no fragile dream, just something rooted, something wide that fits so easy by my side. Maybe love doesn't always start with racing pulse or falling apart. Maybe it lives in smaller signs between familiar lines, and I'm letting it unfold this way without the need to push or sway. If it remains, if it stays true, I'm glad it found its way through you. I never noticed how you pause right before you start to speak. Now every silence that you hold feels laid warm.
You wake before the alarm rings. I wake when the room feels warm, like the curtains wide open. I like the quiet before the dawn. You take your coffee darker, I add a little. You move with steady focus, I linger in between. We never try to match exactly the way we start the day. You speak in clear directions, I drift a softer way. At first I thought we'd stumble over how we disagree, but difference turned to balance in ways I couldn't see. You read the morning headlines, already dressed in me. I sit and play a chord progression, bare feet on cool concrete. You plan the week ahead of time with lists precise and straight. I'm sketching half-formed melodies that don't care about it. And somewhere in that contrast, there's something that aligns. Your structure holds my wandering, my calm reshapes your lines. You said, don't change your rhythm for me, just let me learn your pace. And that was when I realized we both had found our place. You don't rush my quiet, I don't resist your drive. We meet around the table where both our styles survive. The piano fills the kitchen with chords that softly bend, like the way we compromise without pretending to pretend. You show me how to follow through when I begin to doubt. I show you how to breathe again when pressure builds throughout. The brush drums keep a gentle pulse, like footsteps side by side, not racing for the finish, not falling far behind. The bass hums underneath it all, steady and sincere. It sounds like mutual respect, made audible and clear. I used to think love meant becoming similar, but maybe it's about staying different without drifting apart. You don't ask me to be louder, you don't ask me to compete. You only ask for honesty in every word we speak. And I don't ask you to slow down or loosen who you are. I just reach for your intention, even when it's far. Morning light across your shoulder turns everything to gold. You're tying up your laces while I'm still half in thought. We move in separate motions, yet somehow stay aligned. Two melodies in counterpoint, sharing space and time. If ever we misread each other, if tones begin to blur, we sit and let the silence do the quiet work for sure. You explain without accusation, I answer without defense, and that alone has built a trust that's deeper than suspense. I admire your precision, you admire how I feel. We never try to overwrite what makes the other real. I don't need you to mirror me, I don't need you to agree. I only need to know you're choosing this with me. The city starts to quicken, engines start to hum, but inside this shared beginning, we are not undone. Your tempo isn't my tempo, my time isn't yours, but somehow when we listen, we create something more. A rhythm made of patience, a harmony of will, not forced into perfection, just honest and still. I've learned that love is living, not blending into one. It's two distinct horizons meeting with the sun. You head toward your direction, I linger for a while, but when our eyes reconnect, there's recognition in the smile. No need to change the structure, no need to rearrange. The beauty is the contrast that neither tries to change. If anyone should ask me how we make it stay, I'll say we never lost ourselves along the way. You wake before the alarm rings, I wake when the room feels warm. Different in our methods, yet equally transformed. And every quiet morning as soft chords gently play, I am grateful for the balance we find at your tempo and mine each day.
I wore the size they gave me, and I called it who I am. Fit myself in margins, someone else began. And love was always measured by a scale I didn't build, and I kept climbing toward it like a glass I'd never filled. Every race was almost, every win was not quite yet, and I kept moving further. a shadow I can't catch. Who decided what the finish line was supposed to look like anyway? I've been running someone else's race, and I'm done crossing the tape. I'm stepping off the scale that was never mine to stand on, dropping every measuring stick that wasn't made by my hands. Enough is what I say it is, not what they demand. I'll be writing every stanza with a pencil I command. Enough was always here, I just couldn't see it through someone else's definition of where I should land. My mother's enough was silence, my father's enough was work, my teacher's enough was perfect, my lover's enough was hurt. I stitched them all together like a quilt of borrowed rules, and wrapped myself so tightly I thought the cloth was cruel. But today I'm pulling threads and watching it unwind, not to be left naked, but to see what's really mine. Who decided what the finish line was supposed to look like anyway? I've been running someone else's race, and I'm done crossing the tape. I'm stepping off the scale that was never mine to stand on, dropping every measuring stick that wasn't made by my hands. Enough is what I say it is, not what they demand. I'm rewriting every standard with a pencil I command. Enough was always here, I just couldn't see it through someone else's definition of where I should land. Where I should land. Enough is Tuesday evenings with nothing on the couch. Enough is saying no without explaining how. Enough is who I am at 7 in the morning, before the world has told me who to be without a warning. I'm stepping off the scale that was never mine to stand on, dropping every measuring stick that wasn't made by my hands. Enough is what I say it is, not what they demand. I'm rewriting every standard with a pencil I command. Enough was always here, I just couldn't see it through someone else's definition of where I should land. I am enough, not almost, not nearly. I am enough, completely and clearly. You pull out a chair like you've done it 100 times, but today it feels deliberate, like you're choosing me again. The room isn't fancy, the table leans just a little. There's a mark from yesterday's cup, still drying in a circle. You say we can leave this place someday, but you're smiling when you say it, like you don't mean too far away. I like that about you, big ideas with gentle edges, dreams that don't demand escape, just room to breathe. Stay right here, let's make small plans for two, not castles in the distance, not promises we can't hold, just grocery lists and train tickets and somewhere new to walk. We don't have to change the world, we don't have to reinvent anything. We can build something steady out of ordinary things. Soft piano bending through the chords, brushes tapping at the rim, bass moving like a heartbeat, slow and confident within. We talk about a second bookshelf That's more than enough. There's a rhythm in how you listen, like you're storing every word. Not to win an argument, but to understand. That kind of care doesn't show up loudly. It settles in quietly and stays. You draw lines on a napkin, sketching rooms that don't exist, saying maybe one day, but your eyes say even if not, stay right here. Let's grow into something simple. Let's choose what we can keep. No pressure to be perfect, no race toward forever, just a pace that fits our feet. I like this version of us, unpolished, unrushed, real. Acoustic strings brushing lightly, chords leaning into warmth. The melody rises gently, but never loses ground. We don't need headlines, we don't need grand design. We just need a morning that turns into a night, and another one after that. You finish your drink, leave a coin on the table. Look at me like you're asking without speaking, and I nod because I already know. Stay right here, let's make small plans for two. Not to escape this life, but to live it side by side. Slowly, steadily, together. There was a night we almost stayed, the taxi waiting by the curb. You held the door, I hesitated, two hearts undone by one small word. The streetlights flickered amber gold, your shadow stretching next to mine. We both were brave, we both were scared, balanced on a fragile line. If I had spoken just a little slower, if you had listened just a breath, maybe we'd have turned around instead of walking in separate steps. But love is not a perfect script, it stumbles where it needs to learn. And sometimes what we almost keep becomes the reason that we're gone. I don't replay it like a wound, I hold it like a photograph, a frozen second of our youth, a quiet unfinished laugh. Regret can be a heavy coat, but I don't wear it every day. I folded it with gentle hands and placed it safely away, because the way we almost stayed still taught me how to choose, still showed me how to speak my heart before there's more to lose. I've learned that silence carries weight, that pride can't close a door, that love deserves a clearer voice than what we gave it before. And if our road should cross again, not out of need but fate, I won't be trembling like I did on the night we almost stayed. I'll say the things I held inside, I'll meet your eyes instead, not begging time to rearrange, but offering an open hand. Maybe you have changed as well, maybe life was kind, maybe you've discovered too what courage left behind. But even if we'll never meet, if that page has turned for good, I'm grateful for the almost, for the love that almost was never just a mistake. It was a lesson wrapped in light my heart was meant to take. So I forgive the younger us, silence and the fear, and walk towards something steady with a voice that's finally clear.
I've been counting all the things I lack, making lists of what I should have done. Always looking somewhere down the track, standing still enough to breathe in. But tonight the city room's so low, and the kitchen light is amber gold. There's a warmth I think I used to know, back before I let the world take hold. What if I start measuring the distance between the man I am and who I plan? What if all this quiet, gentle distance was exactly where I'm meant to land? Maybe I'm enough for now. Maybe I don't have to figure everything out. Maybe all the pieces don't need solving. Maybe I'm already worth the doubt. I'm enough for now. Not the finish line, but somewhere in between. And that's a kind of beautiful I haven't seen. I'm enough for now. Used to carry everybody's weight, thinking that was how you earn your keep. Smiling through the tired and the late, falling into someone else's sleep. But I'm learning how to set it down, how to sit with silence and be still, how to wear my heart without a crown, and just be human on this windowsill. What if I stop chasing the reflection of a life that someone else designed? What if all I needed was the direction that was waiting in the back of my mind? Maybe I'm enough for now. Maybe I don't have to figure everything out. Maybe all the pieces don't need solving. Maybe I'm already worth the doubt. I'm enough for now. Not the finish line, but somewhere in between. And that's the kind of beautiful I haven't seen. I'm enough for now. I read somewhere that trees don't rush to grow. They just take whatever the season gives them. Generally, they keep their roots exactly where they are, and somehow that's what makes them strong. I think I've been uprooting myself for years, trying to plant somewhere that looked better from the outside. But tonight, right here, this soil feels like mine. So I pour myself a little more. Let the evening do what evenings do. Leave my expectations at the door. As someone I can finally look into. There's a softness in accepting this, and the letting go of getting there. Every breath becomes a quiet kiss from a universe that says I care. Maybe I'm enough for now. Maybe I don't have to figure everything out. Maybe all the pieces don't need solving. Maybe I'm already worth the doubt. Enough for now. Not the finish line, but somewhere in between. And that's the kind of beautiful I haven't seen. I'm enough for now. Right here, right now. And I don't need to prove it, I don't need to shout. And that's
knows my secrets better than anyone alive. It's heard me bargain with my choices, 1,000 sleepless nights. I ask myself the questions the daylight will allow. Like who would I become if I stop performing now? Am I the woman they applaud, or the one who's left backstage, writing apologies to herself on every other page? The hours between midnight and dawn hold a different kind of truth, the kind that doesn't need permission, the kind I can't refuse. These conversations I have with myself are the realest ones I know, where I don't know anyone a reason, and I finally let it show. No audience, no curtain call, just me against the wall. These conversations save my life when nothing else will do at all. I told myself last Tuesday that I'm allowed to change my mind, that loyalty to who I was doesn't mean I'm left behind. I asked the version of me at 16 if she'd recognize my face. She said I look like someone who forgot that rest is good. So I'm sitting in the silence, not to fix but just to feel, letting every contradiction teach me something real. The hours between midnight and dawn hold a different kind of truth, the kind that doesn't need permission, the kind I can't refuse. These conversations I have with myself are the realest ones I know, where I don't owe anyone a reason, and I finally let it show. No audience, no curtain call, just me against the wall. These conversations save my life when nothing else will do at all. Sometimes I forgive myself out loud just to hear how it sounds. Sometimes I say I'm proud of you, and I mean it pound for pound, not because I conquered anything, but because I stayed through every single version of myself that was afraid. These conversations I have with myself are the realest ones I know, where I don't owe anyone a reason, and I finally let it show. No audience, no curtain call, just me against the wall. These conversations save my life when nothing else will do at all. When the daylight comes again, I'll wear the face they recognize, but I'll carry every word from these late night lullabies.
I used to wake up counting worries. They were coins beside my bed. Every small unfinished sentence echoed loudly in my head. The mirror wasn't very friendly. It showed me someone unsure, a version trying hard to stand, but never feeling sure. Then you walked into the picture, not with rescue in your eyes, just a steady kind of presence, no performance, no disguise. You asked me simple questions, like what I used to love, before the noise of proving was ever loud enough. I couldn't answer right away, I had to think it through. When was the last time I felt like before I ever knew you? You didn't rush the silence, you let it take its space, like brushed drums under piano, holding time. And slowly I remember things I left behind, A song I wrote at 17, a dream I used to find. I had buried parts of me under schedules and demands. You just listen carefully without trying to command. You never tried to fix me, you never drew a plan. You simply said, I think you're stronger than you understood. There was something in the way you said it, not dramatic, not intense, just quiet conviction with solid evidence. You pointed at the moments I thought didn't count, the nights I kept on going when giving up was loud. You saw the small enjoyments, the discipline and pain, and somehow through your patience I could see it too again. The cafe by the corner, the table near the glass. You spoke about the future like it wasn't built on past. You didn't promise perfection, you didn't swear forever. You only said, let's take today together. And that was new to me, because I used to chase a version of tomorrow that never showed its face. Now mornings feel different, they stretch instead of press. There's room inside my breathing, there's space inside my chest. I forgot my own name, not the letters, but the meaning. You reminded me who I was becoming. The piano in the background moves soft and understated, like the way you speak to me, calm and inflated. The bassline feels like courage, steady, low and loud, not loud enough to tremble, but strong enough to form. You never try to shine by standing over me. You stood right by my side and let me clearly see that I was never broken, just tired and misaligned. That confidence returns when someone takes their time. If I ever start to doubt, if the old thoughts reappear, I replay the way you spoke, so simple and so clear. You said, you don't have to outrun everyone, you don't have to be ahead, you just have to keep your word to the voice inside your head. That stayed with me for days, it softened how I move. I stopped competing with nothing left to prove. Now when the sunlight reaches across the wooden floor, I don't feel I've gone behind or less than I was before. There's gratitude in smallness, there's strength in being slow, there's dignity in learning you're allowed to grow. I thought I needed louder winds to finally feel complete, but you showed me steady steps of victories in repeat. We talk about the future like it's open and wide, not something to survive, something to reside in. Maybe love is part of it, not fireworks or fire, but someone who reminds you of your forgotten name. The morning hums around the city coming into view, and I don't feel like disappearing when I'm sitting here with you. I know I'll have hard seasons, I know the road won't bend, but I won't lose myself again the way I did back then. Because now I hear it clearly in the rhythm of the day. The voice that once was buried has finally found its way. And if I ever wander too far into the noise, I'll remember who I am in the steadiness of your voice.
There's a version of my live it up and there's a version of my life behind the door I haven't tried. I keep walking past it daily, pretending I'm not terrified. What if the room is bigger than the hallway I call home? What if stepping through it means I'll never fit back in these bones? I've measured all the risks, counted every way to fall, but I never stop to ask, what if I don't fall at all? The door is not the enemy, staying is the cost. What if the life I'm protecting is the one I've already lost? There are rooms I haven't entered yet, lives I haven't worn, steps I haven't met, and maybe what I'm guarding isn't safety, it's regret. There are rooms I haven't entered yet, and I can feel them pulling like a promise or a debt. It's time I turn the handle on the life I haven't lived yet. I watched my sister leave to a country she can't spell. She called me from a payphone saying fear is just a shell. You crack it and beneath it there's a woman wanting